Good evening, folks, or good afternoon, I should say, from Australia. This is Jamie McNichol from Blood, Sweat and Metal. We've got a very awesome guest to join us, Bjorn Strid from Soilwork. They're coming to Australia for their 6th time on their back of their latest album, The Ride Majestic. And it's one outstanding album. If you haven't got that, please go to all your independent and music chains around Australia, whether it's JB Hi-Fi, YHD.com, Radical Records in Melbourne, Utopia, you name it. 78 Records in Perth, an old place that I used to go to regularly, or may I say religiously, when I was living in Perth for 8 years between 1992 to 2000. Many great stores around Australia. So if you want to get the latest Soilwork album, Ride Majestic, please get it. Also, they did release a live DVD Blu-ray compilation last year as well. Please get that as well. They've got many guests, and one of the guests is Ford Jensen from Nightwish and Revamp. She does a song with Soilwork, and a couple of other guests on there as well. We talked about the rise of the ARIA chart, the biggest charting that Soilwork ever had in their career in Australia. That came, I think, number 3 on the ARIA charts here in Australia once the album was released. We talked a little bit about that. Also, we talked about how there's been many things happening in the months of January, how Lemmy and David Bowie and Glenn Frey and many others, the drummer from Motley Crue, passed away, how they have inspired such a great influence of bands and musical bands. But what's going to happen when these other people that are aging well, what's going to happen? Is anyone going to pick up the slack? And we've talked a little bit briefly on that as well. Plus all other things about Soilwork and the business and the music, how their genre of music, how they will transpire into the future, what genre they like to see they go through in the future endeavours. We talk about that as well. I do want to say I did this interview a couple of nights ago. Yesterday we had a power outage. They were doing maintenance on the power lines. We had no power at all on Thursday. This was done on Tuesday. So I had to load up the interview into a program. It stopped halfway through due to the power outage, and now we've got power back and I'm back on line and with you guys. But you can't help it. When you see trucks at the front working on the power lines, you just know that the power is out. So fingers crossed we don't get any more maintenance in the next 3 months, because they do that every 6 or 12 months just to fix up the lines around here and hopefully make it better. So also, if you see what we do, show your support, spread it around. There's many interviews on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe on the bottom right down here on the left. And also, if you'd like to leave a comment, please do so underneath that as well. So subscribe, share it around. Go to our Facebook page at Blood, Sweat and Metal. I post up articles, new singles and whatnot. As a matter of fact, the new episode, full-length episode, has been recorded. It's all put together, and it's just going to be the loading process now. Once again, the power outage was the main factor. We couldn't do anything to load up any interviews or episodes. So if you are a listener on Podomatic, iTunes or TuneIn, stay posted. That's going to be up later this afternoon, early tonight. But also many other things like interviews will be on YouTube. Go to our Twitter page as well. You can follow us on Twitter, and most of the people are coming to Twitter as well. So thank you so much. If you saw us a couple of nights ago, David and I did an episode. I haven't spoken to Dave for a while, just before Christmas. So we put out a little bit of a rundown of the albums that just been released, like Megadeth and Dream Theater and so forth and that. We got some news in between as well. So it was about an hour-long live video like this. It's going to be loaded up. I did say I was going to put in the interview with Bjorn in the end. Sorry about that, but this is going up as well with that as well. So there's going to be two portions of this interview in full, of course, but this is a shorter version without all the things. So if you want to see that, what Dave and I spoke to, please do so, because it's great things that we discuss and how we rate the albums and whatnot. So check that out as well. Well, what can I say? There's so much things coming up. We've got things in the pipeline that have been given to us. I do have some more interviews coming up next week. It's a Friday here, so I've got to get things rolling for the weekend. I've got to start writing out some reviews, and I've got a bucket load of albums. I'm falling behind, but stay positive and be patient. It is coming, and I do need to get them out. That's the top of my list. I do need to get these album reviews out so you guys can check out what I personally think of them. And yes, they will be fully honest. If I give them a high rating, that's my only opinion. It's not right, not wrong. But more importantly, when the album gets released, please, you guys go and grab the albums and whatnot. And some people I know have listened to some albums by a link that's been put up around the place. I don't do that. I rather get the promo from the band's record labels or give a feed from the bands themselves. So I do that, and I wait for the album, and I get the physical copy as well. Well, without further ado, here Bjorn speaks Strid from Soilwork. We want to say thank you again for that. This is the third time that we've spoken to Soilwork. So sit back, relax, enjoy as we take you on a bit of a journey of what to come in a week or so time for Soilwork. So thank you, and here it is. Well, folks, this is Jamie from Blood, Sweat and Metal. We have an outstanding guest who joined us last year as we spoke about their latest album, which we are going to talk about, The Ride Majestic. But this time we're talking about the tour, and I have got Bjorn here with me. And good evening from Australia, Bjorn, and thank you so much for joining again.
Thank you, and good morning from Sweden.
So, how's it been since we last spoke about the album? How's the reception that you guys are getting from that? Because from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of fans still talking about that latest album, The Ride Majestic. But how is the band reception as a whole from that? Because here in Australia, that really did chart well here in Australia, and it's probably your highest charting in your career.
Yes, that's what I heard, and I'm really happy to hear that. And I mean, we're still really excited about the album. We're really pleased with it, and the response has been fantastic. And and especially in Australia, it's been really awesome. So it's been going really good, and we've managed to promote the record really well. And we did a North American tour together with Soulfly. And we've also done a headline tour in Europe promoting it. So it's been very busy, but very good. And the album is doing really well. So couldn't be happier.
I just want to go on just a little bit of negative news. The year started off with so many deaths, like Lemmy from Motorhead, David Bowie from Massive Ziggy Stardust, and you had Glenn Frey from the Eagles, all blend in. Yeah. Can this year get any worse, or should we just not focus too much on what just happened in January, but look forward to what the rest of 2016 going to become? Because there's a lot of artists that are aging, and it's going to be devastating when those artists as well pass on as well.
Yeah, I know. I have the same feeling. It's all like the old... the real artists, that's been around for such a long time, they're passing away one by one, and it's really sad, and like you mentioned, Lemmy, and then David, and then Glenn Frey as well. I'm a big Eagles fan as well. So I don't know, it feels kind of empty, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, because I keep asking myself, what band in the last 20 years going to influence a lot of bands like David Bowie have, or Glenn Frey, the Eagles have, Because when those bands pass on, there ain't going to be many bands to inspire another generation of band coming through. And that's what is keeping an empty heart within inside myself. Because when all these great artists go, I mean, you got Soilwork, you've got Foo Fighters, you've got all these other bands that's been around in the 90s, but the bands that started in 2000, are they going to have a major impact like the bands from the 70s had right through to now? Because I really can't see anything of that at the moment.
Yeah, I hear you. I couldn't agree with you more. It's kind of scary to think about that, and who knows, maybe we'll see the effect 20 years from now that people will get influenced from stuff that we don't really see as influential right now, and we'll turn it into something very special. I try to stay positive, but I also agree with you. It's kind of scary,
It is. But as you mentioned, you've done tour with Soulfly off the back of the album. You've done European dates as well. Now you're coming to Australia. You guys must be thrilled, looking forward to it. It's not that long. I think we've got about a week and a half to go before you guys actually start playing here in Australia.
Yeah, very excited. And it's going to be our 6th tour, I believe, in Australia.
Yes.
So, we're still very excited about that, and we started touring in Australia at a pretty early stage in our career, already in 2003, and so we were lucky enough to come over when not a lot of European bands came to Australia, and it's different now. Like, everyone is coming to Australia now, so it's a lot more competition nowadays, and it's hard to sell tickets, and. But I'm really happy that we have such loyal fans and that you still won us over. So that's really cool.
Well, as you mentioned, this is the 6th time to Australia. What are we expecting this time around? I know there's going to be some stuff off the latest album, Ride the Majestic, that's going to be played live. But what are we expecting this time around?
Well, like you mentioned, we are promoting the new album, and like you mentioned before as well, that the new album is doing really well. It was charting, and people seem to be really excited about it. And so it's going to be so much fun performing those songs. We'll probably do 4 or 5 from the latest album, and then mix it up with songs from just about every album that we've ever released. So it's going to be a really good mix, and I think. For the people who have seen the live DVD that we released as well, you can tell that we're definitely not slowing down and that we're a really energetic live band, and we've grown a lot, even at this age. I mean, we're a very energetic live band who have a lot of fun on stage, So it's definitely no corporate metal, It's a celebration, and it's always a very intense live show, and we're very consistent. So that's what you can expect.
Well, you did release the new live DVDs last year as well, and it had Floor Jensen from Nightwish and Revamp there, and plus some other special guests as well. But to capture the live performance of Soilwork, you just have to go there to get memorized. I mean, it's okay. Absolutely. It's okay seeing it on a DVD, but once you're actually in the building, it's a total different vibe, a total different environment. And just to capture the passion, the craftsmanship that goes into the song, how you're all firing on all cylinders, you guys must be so thrilled that your career is extending and you're bringing new fans every time that you make a new album.
Yes. I agree, and it's I'm really grateful for that, and we still have a very young crowd. We still see a lot of kids coming to the shows, and so it's a really mixed crowd. Everything from 13, 14, 15-year-old kids to people that are getting close to 60. So it's very the crowd is very mixed, and so that's fun. That we can attract people from so different backgrounds and ages and everything. It's really cool.
I would like to ask, how would you like to see the music for Soilwork generate into the next generation of music? How would you like to get that transcribed over to the fans who are not yet a fan? Because there are so many albums that have been out in the last 2 years, and it's been transcending new fans into the fold of the fellowship of the band and whatnot. But how would you like to see Soilwork music generate in the future?
That's a very good question. I mean, we're a band that have been developing our music. There's always been some changes on each and every album. You know, we can still hear it Soilwork. So I think we haven't really been a band that's been trying to recreate an album. You know, for example, when Natural Born Chaos came out, it was a very special album, and later almost became like a cult album, you know, and Stabbing the Drama was doing really well as well. But then we didn't really, try to recreate that. So we've been a really brave band, and I think that's what we want to keep on doing. We want to be brave, and we couldn't do it any other way, I think, at the same time. We like to develop our music, and hopefully, there's new generations growing up discovering our music and our history, and are able to develop with us, so to speak, and with our music, and the way we do have a sort of like a playful approach to songwriting, and I think that could hopefully inspire young bands as well, that you can sometimes break the norms, of metal, which I believe we have done.
I mean, a lot of things that I like about Soilwork, that you always seem to challenge yourself from album to album. You like to expand the territory, so to speak. And you're right, yeah. You don't create the same album twice. It's always a different album every time you create an album. So therefore, bringing younger fans, and probably I'll touch on a little bit, like educate the younger fans a little bit, because they have missed a lot of great music from what we were brought up with back in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, for sure. So it's, that's what I liked, when I discovered a band, growing up, and you found that song or that album, and then, you wanted to check out everything else, and it was so exciting. It's like, wow, they have that many albums out, and then you started to check them out, and you realized that, wow, they sounded different back then, but I really like this too. And you kind of went through the whole catalog and saw how they evolved, and to me that was really exciting, and hopefully people growing up can appreciate that too.
And another good thing about looking at the music as a whole, and with the fans as well, the generation of buying music has done a complete circle. People now are going back to buying vinyl now. Are you seeing that trend as well when they purchase Soilwork material, that not only are they getting the CD, but they're going back to buy them vinyls?
I know, and that's really cool. I do buy a lot of vinyls myself, and I mean, that, like I mentioned before, that discovering bands, and it was so much more fun discovering bands through vinyls. When you open up the sleeve, and it was so much more exciting. You could study the cover for hours and hours. And it hasn't really been the same with CDs. So I'm glad that the vinyl is really coming back. I don't know if it's here to stay. Who knows? Maybe 10 years from now, CD is going to be like the cult thing to have and to collect. You never know, but hopefully the vinyl is coming back, and it's here to stay. So
I want the cassette tapes to come back. I like going down the highway in my car with a cassette tape in it, because you don't scratch a tape, but you can chew up a tape. If you play it constantly enough, it will start unwinding itself into long threads of tape. But it's so great to have like a collector's item, like vinyl, tape, cassette, or whatever. But
yeah, I agree. It's really fun. I love cassettes too.
But with the fans down in Australia, I know this is the 6th time coming to Australia, and this time you've got meet and greets packages available through the website. I don't know if there's many left. If you haven't got them, fans, please go and grab them. But this time you can interact with fans a lot more on this tour compared to what you've done in the past. Has there been a moment of time where a fan who'd loved you from the start shared that intimate story with you and the band?
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of them. There's still people coming up to you and telling, like, really sometimes intense stories about what they've gone through and how Soilwork have helped them, through their lives and their hardships. So it's really really rewarding, and sometimes it's hard to grasp, and. I mean, that's really the only way. I try to, always hang out as much as I can and talk to people. So I try to not hide too much, you know what I mean? Because I think it's important, and it's also interesting, and we have done meet and greets in Australia before, and it's always been a really good vibe, and people are really happy, and then you try to give each and every person as much time as possible. So it's a great way of meeting up with the fans, for sure.
Yes, it is. And with the fans who haven't got the ticket, please go to livenation.com.au. The tour starts on 10th of February in Perth, going right through to the 16th of February at 170 Russell Street in Melbourne. I'll be attending the show here in Adelaide. And Bjorn, I cannot wait for you guys to hit Australia. But most importantly, I cannot wait to meet you in person.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really awesome. So go get your tickets now, and we'll see you in a little bit more than a week.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
All right, fans, we're going to play you some songs off the latest album, Rather Majestic. It was released last year by Nuclear Blast. But please, if you don't have the album, go to Soilwork's website, and also go to Nuclear Blast website. You can get all the material and bundle packs that is still available on Nuclear Blast website as well. And plus, get the live DVD that came out last year as well. Bjorn, it's all the time we got for, but if there's one last thing you'd like to say to the fans down under, what would you like to say to them?
I'm really happy that you're still, interested in having Soilwork over, and I'm really glad that you picked up this new record and made us chart in Australia. So thank you very much, and I can't wait to perform the new songs live in Australia. So we'll see you on stage.
We will do, and you take care and have a safe journey coming to Australia as well. We cannot wait to see you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Bye. Cheers.